Good evening from the White House in Washington, D.C. Today, towards the end of May, I have the immense joy and honor to host and to be hosted in a way by Mάθιου Μπόιλ that I'm very grateful to for offering this time to talk a bit briefly about interesting developments and, of course, a kind of first summary from the President Trump's first 100 and almost 20 days. Dear Mάθιου, it's a great pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I would like to, if you can give us a glimpse of how things are in the White House after the first almost 4 months of President Trump in office.
Yeah, well, I mean, love him or hate him. I mean, President Trump is doing everything he said he was going to do, right? Like, it's a frenetic pace. President Trump is remaking the U.S. government. He's remaking the U.S. position on the world stage. He's advancing American interests and pushing forward the America First agenda. I mean, just in the first 100 days, what you've seen him do with regard to the border and immigration is world-level historic. Right? We had people in both political parties in the United States saying all year last year that we needed some big piece of legislation. We needed a new Senate bill or something like that to be able to secure the border. No, all we needed was a new president. We got a new president, and the border's secure, right? Like, so there's not people coming across. What you're seeing happen with the immigration enforcement is incredible. What you're seeing happen with the tariffs and reorienting the U.S. position on the world stage. The president is rallying our friends and allies to our side, and he's putting our adversaries on notice. So I think that what's happened here in the first 120 days or so of President Trump's second term in the White House is truly historic. It's going to go down as one of the most action-packed presidencies in American history, if not the most. And I think that to paraphrase our friend Kimberly Guilfoyle, who's going to be the U.S. ambassador to Greece as soon as she's confirmed by the U.S. Senate, the best is yet to come. And I really do think the best is yet to come. I think there's so much exciting stuff on the horizon here for President Trump.
You were recently in Greece, in Athens. You were in Delphi,
sure,
where you followed the Delphi Forum and had the round of communications. You had this interviews with Prime Minister Mitsotakis from great, where the Archbishop of the Church of Greece. I would like you to tell us a bit what your taste and what you gathered from this trip.
Yeah, I think that President Trump looks at everything geopolitical, and the people of Greece, the Greek government, are a major player on the world stage. And a partner for the United States geopolitically, as the president is trying to reorient the U.S. position to focus on China. One of the biggest things we talked about when we were there, I talked to Prime Minister Mitsotakis about this. I've spoken to President Trump about it. I've spoken to other world leaders, including our Secretary of State, about this. That we talked about when we were in Greece was the IMEC corridor. And that stands for, IMEC stands for India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. President Trump signed, when Prime Minister Modi of India was here in the United States back in the early days of his second term here, signed an agreement that expanded efforts that were already underway for the United States to engage in this IMEC corridor. It's the first Western-led answer to China's Belt and Road Initiative, and where China has been spreading their malign communist influence worldwide. What you have is, and then this is what Prime Minister Mitsotakis told me, and I'm paraphrasing here. You have on one side the world's biggest democracy in India. On the other side, the world's most powerful democracy here in the United States. You can see the White House right behind us right now, and that is the seat of our democracy. That is a symbol to the world. And then we have at the center of it, belt buckle that holds it together, the birthplace of democracy in Athens, Greece. And frankly, I can't think of a better way to stand up to communism than this. And again, what you see with the president is we had Liberation Day, you had the trade deals and tariffs, and we've seen the UK come to the table now. We're hoping that other countries, hoping that the European Union comes around. So I know that President Trump has threatened them with a 50% tariff now, but see what happens as this goes on. The hope is that you make a deal with the United States that strengthens the U.S. and the world stage that helps us against the CCP. So we'll see as it all develops. But I think that the big picture, the takeaway from my trip to Greece and when I was there interviewing the Prime Minister, and again, I've talked to the President about this, I've talked to other people around him in his cabinet and so on and so forth, is that what they're trying to do is, really prepare the United States. We're coming up on our 250th birthday as a country, right? July 4th begins the 250th year of this country. We want to be here for another 250 and another 250 after that and another 250 after that. So if we're going to do that, we need to really strengthen ourselves as a country and stop the decline that we've been on for the last several decades.
One of the significant phase transitions, I call it, in the new Trump presidency is the fact that all this seems to get to an end. As a matter of fact, also has been supported by the USA, which is in the process of cleaning up things. And I know that in Greece there are many people who are concerned about the deeds of USA in the previous years. Just to remind that last year, Secretary Blinken had asked from the Greek government to ensure that the law for the LGBT marriage will pass. And that was a kind of an aspect of the U.S. strategic relation. So where things are now when it comes to USA?
When it comes to USAID, the big picture is that President Trump has directed Secretary of State Rubio to overtake the program, right? And so Rubio is now overseeing and conducting a review of all U.S. taxpayer dollars. Americans are rightfully concerned and are right to be concerned about the use of their tax dollars. American tax dollars should advance American interests on the world stage. It's a really easy thing to say. Pushing woke nonsense and cultural insanity, whether it be the transgendered stuff or the LGBTQ nonsense or the interests of socialists and communists and so on and so forth. And it all needs to DEI, that stuff needs to be it needs to stop, right? They need to be advancing American interests on the world stage. Nobody's saying that we aren't going to use our tax for good reasons, right? We are, right? We're not cutting off all USAID money. In fact, they're giving waivers in certain places where it makes sense to consider interest on the stage. However, our tax dollars in their use has been perverted so long by these globalist establishment people, and frankly, it's refreshing, I think, to a lot of Americans, especially now in the air. I don't know if these are Trump supporters or not. I see some MAGA hats walking around. I see some Trump supporters. So I think that a lot of these people are very excited to see finally some sanity brought back to the use of our money. And that's how you spread our shit around the world. And you're going to see President Trump and his team continue to do that over the course of as he continues his second term.
And I guess, would you agree that there is also a moral component in this issue, given also that the fact that President Trump has stated clearly that there are only two genders, two sexes, man and woman, and so I guess this is also having an impact of how Trump administration makes a kind of recovery, so to say, on a global level, right?
Sure, yeah, and I think that a lot of cultural leaders around the world are looking at President Trump and they're excited as he's talking about this stuff. It's really a moral renaissance again that we're seeing in the world stage. In fact, when I was in Greece in Athens, I interviewed the Archbishop of the Greek Orthodox Church there, Diadromos too, and he is very pleased with what we're seeing from President Trump, particularly on this question of the gender question. So it's exciting to see worldwide, and one of the big things we're watching for to see if how this develops is how does the new Pope, Pope Leo the 14th, how does he approach things? But I do think that there's a lot of exciting things going on culturally, but it's only part of the picture. But it's a key part of the picture. It's one of the key legs of the stool conservative, right? There's economics, security and national security, military. There's the cultural stuff. So I think that there's some exciting stuff happening. More exciting stuff.
I would like to ask you one thing about Ukraine. We see that there are very close contacts and negotiations and constant meetings with President Trump and his team and President Putin. and also with Ukraine. However, it seems that a different parallel work has been shaped by European countries, Britain, Germany, and France, seem to disagree with President Trump's recent intention this war to come as soon as possible.
I think President Trump wants to end this. He wants to see the killing stop. He's seen so much money wasted of our tax dollars over the last several years by whoever was controlling the auto pen back when Joe Biden was in the White House, quote unquote, right? Like, so at a certain point, it needs to stop, right? Like, what is the purpose of this, right? Like, so I think the president is very focused on that, and I think the rest of Europe will be on board with that. I think the big picture is that President Trump wants to get these distractions, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's what's happening in Gaza in the Middle East, whether it's the Iranians, whether it's the Turks, etc., etc., etc. He wants to end these distractions and focus the United States' energy entirely on stopping the rise of the Chinese Communist Party.
Speaking of Turkey, of course, we know well that in the geopolitical arena, not all things are predictable, especially when you have with a country that has demonstrated a constant will in claiming Greece's national territorial rights. And we also have, of course, Cyprus, which has been under Turkish occupation for now 150 years. And so I wonder...
Partisan.
Sorry?
Partisan.
Well, as long as the 38%...
The other side is...
Right, yes, it's still a wounded part of the Hellenism, to put it so. And yet we see Turkey to have a claim to a global role, getting more and more involved into Ukraine, proposing to the European Union that they will be able to supply them with ammunition, and of course being involved in Syria and Iraq and in the Middle East, having these tensions with Israel. How do you think the Trump administration considers and regards the role of Turkey and especially of President Erdogan, given also the fact that, for instance, the great interconnector between Israel, Cyprus and Greece is until now blocked and stuck because actually Turkey insisting for not implementing the Greek territory. Yeah,
so I think the big picture here is that President Trump is very focused on China, and he doesn't want to see any adversaries or people that we have complicated relationships with, whether that's Russia's Vladimir Putin or Turkey's Erdogan, or whether that's North Korea's Kim Jong-un or any of them, the Ayatollah. And he doesn't want to see them running to CCP to make access power against the United States on the stage. So I think that the big picture is that what the president is trying to do, I would look at his options, right? Like, so he says nice things about Erdogan, I get it, right? Like, but he also does a lot of the harshest things that we've ever seen on Turkey, right? Like, as President Trump in his first term, he took them out of the F-35 program. President Trump in his first term would put the Kansas sanctions on. Again, at the end of the day, the president is looking out for American interest, and he is looking to all of our friends around the world and all of our adversaries and those who we have more complicated relationships. The Turks are a complicated relationship. They're a member of NATO, and there's questions about NATO and so forth, world stage. But I don't think that President Trump is running into Erdogan, right? Like, I think that what he's trying to do is he's playing a broader chess game on the world stage against some of these very powerful Asian civilizations, whether it be the Persians, Iran, whether it be the Turks, the Ottoman Empire, whether it be and that's what Erdogan's trying to do. He's trying to reassemble the old Ottoman Empire, the Caliphate, right? Like, so, not the greatest guy, but I think that President Trump, I trust him in the world when it comes to any of those people. With the Russians, who've been around for 1,000 years. The Chinese have been around for 6,000 years, maybe longer. The president is, we're talking about our 250th anniversary here, right? Like, they're talking about their 6,000. Right, like, and so these ancient civilizations are trying to undercut the United States and weaken us on the world stage. It's up to somebody like President Trump to play better chess than the people who developed chess. They invented chess over there, right? Like, so we've got to beat these guys. I think we can do it. And the president, as we've seen so far, lot of promising action so far on any of these various theaters. And again, I also think that when it comes to Greece, the president has very clearly decided by sending Kimberly Gill for it. And he's very close. She has his ear. I know. I've talked to her about this. I've talked to him about this. I've talked to the Senate Majority Leader about this. They are very focused on Greece, and they view Greece as a major partner on the world stage. That's why he's sending somebody so as close to him as Kimberly there to be his ambassador.
Wow. Right. And I know, last question, that you have been knowing President Trump for many, many years.
Sure.
Would you like to share with us a bit something about his character? Because the media have the tendency, they had it also in the first time, to represent him as a, well, almost lunatic person, whereas he is completely the opposite. He is a very highly intelligent president who acts for the benefit of his country. So what is your personal experience?
Yeah, look, I've known him for a long time, for over a decade. I've interviewed him probably more than any other journalist in the United States. I would say that, first off, he's an excellent, there are several qualities about President Trump that you might not always see if you listen to CNN or you listen to the MSNBC. Right? Like, first is, he's an excellent listener. And you don't really see that on any TV, by the way, because he's, you know, he knows when the cameras are on and so on and so forth. But when the cameras are not on, he has built-in feedback channels where he is deliberately listening to people. The second is he has an excellent sense of humor. Right, like he's a really funny guy. That one you do see sometimes, right? Like you do see it come through when he's out there talking about things. And the third thing I would say about him is that he doesn't do things by accident. It's by design, right? Like it may look like he made a flippant remark about this person and that person, but there's usually a reason behind it. And not usually, they're always. And so, yeah, and I would say that, because I've seen this play out a little bit sometimes behind the scenes, and I will tell you, he has a method to everything that he's doing, and there's a strategic reason behind it. So, again, this gets back to the bigger thing of what we were talking about with all these different geopolitical theaters and whatever. I trust him in the room without it, right? Like, there's a reason why those who believe in what he's doing did everything they could to make sure that he came back to the White House. I truly believe he was saved by God that day in Butler, Pennsylvania. And I think that that moment demonstrates that there are higher plans for this nation. And President Trump is actually doing it. He's doing a great job so far. We'll see how things go from here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mâthiu Bόιλ for the White House here in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much, dear Mâthiu, for this discussion. Thank you.